How's it going, everyone? KMac here of KMac Gaming, hoping you are enjoying this lovely Wednesday. So I wanted to go live here for a second and kind of talk over um, some of the loadouts that I am currently using in Call of Duty Warzone. So if you like the content, please go ahead, like and subscribe. Love to have you here with us on the channel. And also, please go ahead and check me out on Twitch, which is where I typically do most of my live streaming. Normally I do this in a video, but just for the sake of time and editing, I figured I would just do this as a live stream, just have the video set. On we go. So, you'll notice as we go through this, I've mentioned this before in the past, and I'll mention it again. Basically, my two sources of information that I go to for all of my loadouts are JGOD and True Game Data. They are the end-all, be-all in terms of getting that raw data, but we definitely have some differing opinions on loadouts and what we choose to use. So that's why I wanted to take a second to make the distinction of you'll see very similar, like general, like a lot of similarities in terms of the types of classes that I use, in terms of how I have that broken up between my, here's my sniping class, here's my ghost class, here's my fully loaded, here's restock, so on and so forth. So those are very much on par with say like JGOD, but you'll see that I kind of have a little bit more variation with my weapons of choice. So getting started here, just like JGOD, you'll see I run an experimental class as well, just because I think that's genius in terms of just having something dedicated to just try out different stuff. So this is where I will just kind of play around with all of my different options. And you'll see for this one, I have the M13 as my AR of choice. I've been messing around with this in Plunder for a little while now, and this gun was never not good, first of all. You'll see it's never very like highly ranked from like a TTK standpoint or anything like that. Like it's up there, it competes, but it's not historically considered meta. And after the most recent update, the beauty is so many more guns can compete now, which is fantastic. So I've been kind of messing around with the old M13 loadout that I used to use for a while, and yeah, it definitely slaps. This gun's fantastic. The only downside to it is you burn through ammo so quickly, but if you're hitting your shots, like this thing beams, especially at distance. But you'll see the loadout's pretty standard. Monolithic suppressor, the Tempest Marksman barrels, that where you're maxing out your range, recoil control, etc. Bullet velocity especially, command of foregrip to stabilize the recoil a little bit. 60 round mag, VLK 3.0, so that way you are getting the magnification for distance and the recoil buff that's in there. So that's what I'm using for that. Secondary, just kind of messing around with the Mac 10. There's definitely no shortage of SMGs that can be used right now. So I kind of just like seeing where this lands from a viability standpoint. Still works. Same problem with the M13. It just burns through ammo very quickly. Not to the extent of, say, the blanking here on what it's called, like the ISO or the Fennec. But it can put you in a bad spot if you're playing trios or quads, just because you're going to run out of ammo very quickly. But solos or duos, this combo is fantastic. So agency, task force barrels, that we are getting the strafe speed with the bullet velocity included as well. Field agent grip to level out the recoil a little bit. 53 round drum mag. Don't use a fast mag on any of the Cold War weapons. It's going to kill your ADS and it's not worth it. And I do the Raider stock to, again, get that extra movement speed, because that's going to be the key to success with the Cold War guns. Currently, I'm just running thermites on a lot of these, but you'll see I'll swap this out with Semtex, heartbeat sensor. If I'm with Plunder, I'll swap out EOD for cold-blooded at the end of the game, just because the helicopters are a pain in the butt. Overkill and Amped. So I basically run the EOD and Amped I will run for all of my classes. That is just universally what I do. Personal opinion, I don't see any reason to use any other perks for 1 and 3. The only exception I can see is if you want to run like battle hardened against, so that way you're protected against stun and stuff like that. Tracker, Like you can mix up a lot of these if you're playing trios or quads, just to kind of give you an extra advantage. Um, with you make yourself a more integral component if you're playing more team dynamic. But if you're playing solos or duos, it's probably not really worth it that much because you're going to need to be able to move between those two classes. So yeah, that's what I'm running with that. Next up, I'm just running an LMG class just to have. Um, New favorite again, blast from the past, the Bruin. This thing, even though it got nerfed a while back, um, now that everything's kind of coming back into the fold, this thing still beams hard. I love this gun. I'm still trying to edit a few videos that I had, but I definitely had some games, especially in like Rebirth, and I was just racking up kills with this thing. It's fantastic. Um, High bullet velocity, as is the case with LMGs, low recoil, decent damage profile. So I'm just running monolithic, summit barrel, which is going to give you the maximum range and bullet velocity. Um, in the past, I believe the meta was to run the tack laser on this, so that way you're getting faster ADS and aiming stability. But I've actually been enjoying the Commando foregrip more to help with range. Just because even though you're reducing kind of that idle sway um, with the aiming stability with the tack laser, I find that stabilizing the recoil has a much more positive impact on this at range. So that's why I'm going to be using that. 60 round mag reloads very quickly, and with the rate of fire, you're going to get plenty out of it. And VLK optic. For secondary, I am running the Ram 7 here, which is one of my favorite secondaries. Key here, I'll alternate between the Ram and the AS Val, depending on if I'm playing solos or duos, which would be Val, or trios and quads, which is going to be the Ram. Just because the AS Val is really hard because of the ammo so minimized on it that it's really tough if you're in a bad spot against a team of 3 or 4. So um, yeah, for the RAM here. Monolith Expressor. I have the Eclipse barrel on this because I'm running it more like an SMG, so I want the faster ADS. But if you want to get a little bit more recoil control, you can throw the Ranger on here, but it is going to impact your ADS negatively. Tac laser, 50 round mag, fully loaded. Why am I doing fully loaded? Because then it's actually giving me max ammo on the Bruin right out of the gate. And the only other attachment that I would use on this is the Commando foregrip to stabilize the recoil. But since I'm using it at close to mid range anyway, predominantly at close range, so like inside of like 15 meters usually, 20 meters, I don't have to worry about the recoil that much because I can manage it well enough. So much more advantageous to get max ammo on both of these. And then basically the logic with this class is this is only like initial loadout, and then once I get my ghost class, you'll see what I do in a second here. So I don't typically run restock all that often, to be honest, but I like having it in my back pocket just in case. And what I do is I run a fully loaded on here, um, just to get max ammo on it, and then I can pair that with whatever my other loadout is, whether it's a sniper or if I'm running AR SMG. Um, hopefully with sniper I already have a decent amount of ammo. Not, I'll figure something else out, but if I'm running restock, it's going to be close quarters combat anyway, so that's why I would rather have SMG AR ammo here, because then um, the Psychop still holds its own reasonably enough. You'll still get beat out by most SMGs, but it still works in a pinch. But yeah, the Grau, you'll see for all of my fully loaded ARs, I will always use the Grau. This gun is still fantastic. The only downside is at range you get a little bit of that damage drop off, but it's so accurate and the iron sights are so clean. This gun is still top notch with beyond a shred of a doubt. It's still a lot of fun to use. Monolithic, Archangel barrel, Commando foregrip, stabilized recoil, 60 round mag, and then fully loaded. And then, like I said, with the Psychov, I run the secondary, which is the Bono, the auto barrel, tac laser, so that way I get. So I was running the 5 milliwatt for a while just to get the faster sprint to fire, but realistically with a pistol, it's already pretty quick as it is, so I'd rather get the tac laser going. 80 round drum mag, and then fully loaded on that. And then, again, I'm just having fun with thermites right now, but I'll swap that for Semtex and stuns. So that's what I run for that class. So now we're getting into my more regularly used classes here. So AR SMG, you'll see I have the regular and a fully loaded version for these classes. So again, Grau, since that is absolutely the best fully loaded AR you can use at range. Secondary, the gun that never stopped being good, the Modern Warfare Mp5. This gun is fantastic. It is a hip fire machine, especially when you throw the 5 milliwatt laser on there. The integral suppressor barrel is fantastic because you don't need the monolithic because it's already built in, and you get the bullet velocity bump in it too with a little bit of an ADS penalty, but who cares? Merc foregrip, because I basically have this built, like I said, as a hip fire machine, 45 round mag and fully loaded. You'll see the change to that on my regular class. Actually not, because I'm using the bullfrog right now. What I will do is basically I run sleight of hand on this. If I'm running, if I'm doing trios or quads, just because you're going to need to replace that mag quick in a pinch, and then solos and duos, collapsible, so that we're getting the faster ADS and movement speed. And for my AR SMG class, I will run the the Modern Warfare MP5 there as well. Right now, I'm just having some fun with Bullfrog, because even after the nerf, the only thing that it did was it affected headshots, where that high TTK it went from 1 to 2, but otherwise it's still perfectly fine. So still running with the AMAX, same story. Even though it got nerfed, it's, you know, you just got to get used to the new variables, which realistically speaking are minor. There isn't a whole lot different here. So same setup as always: monolithic suppressor, Zodiac barrel, Commando foregrip, 45 round mag, and the VLK optic. I should mention this too. With the VLK optic, I'm always using the T-pose reticle, just because in my opinion it's the cleanest. So I always love using that. And then for the Bullfrog, Grease suppressor, Task Force barrel, the same reason as the Mac 10. I use the 65 round mag to get that extra ammo going. Could run a fast mag. Everything else is going to kill your ADS, so I don't really recommend doing that unless you're going to use it for hip firing, but still, 65 for me is more than sufficient. Serpent wrap and the skeletal stock to get the sprint fire, movement speed, all that jazz. So yeah, still a very viable weapon. It's a fun class to use. Oh, here's what I was talking about before with the Bruin. So with the Bruin, where I run the RAM as my secondary at first, once we either buy another loadout or I get the next loadout in Circle 5, I'll swap this out for my Ghost. Or I'll do this class for when I'm picking up my Ghost. So the RAM gets replaced with a Bullfrog, and then in the unlikely event that I don't have any SMG ammo, what I do is I pair it with a fully loaded Psychov. That way I'm getting a fully kitted Bullfrog here with max ammo right out of the gate. So it's almost like you're getting 6 perks instead of 5. And then swapping stuns for the heartbeat sensor. Everything else is pretty standard. Ghost AR, literally the same build out or loadout for the Psychov and the Grau that I've used for fully loaded already. Same story, stuns instead of heartbeat, so at least I get the option depending on how I'm going to be playing. And that works for that Ghost class. So next, I got a Ghost Sniper loadout for fully loaded. So this is just in case I'm running AR SMG, AR, and I decide that I want to switch to sniping. Maybe the circle's going to pull to the hillsides or more open areas. So I switched. Psychov is exactly the same. And then for the Kar 98, I got the mono. Singard 27.6 inch barrel, which that's going to be your max range, max bullet velocity, etc. Tac laser, stabilizing, get the faster ADS. Glad I'm going over this because I actually like using the variable zoom scope. And for all my Modern Warfare snipers, I use cover shot for the reticle. Like I said, it's the cleanest, or excuse me, like the other one with the VLK, this is the cleanest, so that's why I like using that. And then fully loaded. If I was using the regular Car 98, which I typically don't, I will run usually the Sport Comb on this to get the faster ADS on it. I can also run the Precision to have more stabilized shots a little bit. Just depends on how you want to play. And yeah, everything else is the same. So yeah, I run 3 Ghost loadouts, and I'll usually change between 2 and 3 when I play around with this, but I like having the option of 3 different Ghost loadouts. So you'll see this I can pick up in a pinch, or I can use if I want to just get more AR ammo or replenish. This is for when I'm using AR, or if I'm sniping and I want to pick up an SMG. And then this is if I'm running close quarters and then want to switch to sniping. So it gives me the ability to get Ghost and gives me the ability to play to any situation that I'm going to encounter. Or alternatively, you can just go restock. High Alert is usually one that I've seen people use too. A couple of my friends that I play with run that. I don't have a need to run that class because I'm usually running with them and they'll use it and they get the benefit of having it, so it renders it redundant. And now I got my top 2 classes that I use, which are AR Sniper, which is still obviously a meta. What I've done, though, to change it up is, so you'll see I'm running in the car here for the fully loaded option, but I've started using as my pairing with it, if you will. I've gone back to the Kilo because I love this gun. It's I know after the nerf everyone stopped using it, but realistically inside, like, I was beaming people at 50 meters. It's still fantastic. So definitely give it a try. Instead of the VLK, I've got this kitted out for a little bit more close quarters. So same build as usual. Monolith Expressor, the Prowler barrel, 60 round mag. I've got fully loaded instead of the commanded foregrip, which you'll see on the next class I use. And then I use the hollow sight because the cleanest sight of any sight in this game is the blue dot. So that's what I'm running with that. And then the main class that is still my favorite to use, period. Well, I should say that it's tied with that brewing class that I've been having a lot of fun with. Kilo SPR. I know everyone and their mother is using the Car 98 right now, which that's fine. If you're really good at close quarter sniping, power to you. Me personally, I'd rather use an AR for that capacity. But I think that the most balanced sniper in the game is the SPR by far. You're getting basically HDR level performance with mobility of, the range and bullet velocity and everything like that is just shy of the HDR, but you're getting much faster mobility, which is just shy of the Car 98. So it's literally right in between those two guns. So for me, it's perfect. I love beaming people with this, and I feel quick enough that I can respond quickly in a pinch. So using mono, 26-inch barrel, tac laser, variable zoom scope, Norma mag. Do not use the Lopua rounds. You're actually going to get slower bullet velocity with it, and it's not worth the extra damage. It's basically negligible. You'll be much more effective with Norma rounds. Same build out for the for the Kilo, but instead of fully loaded, I'm running the commando foregrip to stabilize. So still a fantastic gun. Highly recommend giving it a shot. I originally was playing around too with using the 16-inch barrel, the 16.6-inch barrel, just to get a little bit faster ADS, but I feel much more comfortable with the Prowler barrel. I think it's more versatile, and yeah, you can have a lot of fun with that. Alternatives to this, I would run the Ram, which same setup that I had before here. Just throwing on the commando foregrip, and I would be using the Ranger barrel just to get a little bit more range out of it. Alternatively, you can run the I've seen the AMAX and the Grau run with that too. If you want to be a little bit more close quarters, I would run either a Bullfrog or the Modern Warfare Mp5. So that's what I'm running with that. So some alternatives here would be for AR SMG if you don't want to use the AMAX. The Krig is a lot of fun right now. Let's see, where is it? So they finally made this viable. So what I would do is do agency suppressor, ranger barrel for the bullet velocity. Everything else is going to be negligible, so I wouldn't bother. Field agent grip, 60 round standard mag, and you got a choice here. So you can either use the 3x optic, which is what I prefer to use, and then I use the precision reticle, or if you want to use it, have the ability to use a little bit more mid-range too, you can use the SUSAT, because at 2x the recoil seems almost non-existent, but you are going to get an ADS penalty on it. So that's the only downside to that. So me personally, I like the 3x a little bit better, but to each their own. And then additionally, other weapons that you have the ability to use, for the sniping class, would be the Cold War AK-47. This gun is ridiculous at close mid-range. Recoil is still a little funky, so even after they buffed it, what you're going to do is GRU suppressor. I use the Spetsnaz barrel so that we are getting bullet velocity and all that good stuff, but the biggest thing is you're getting the strafe speed. The Spetsnaz grip to neutralize that recoil a little bit, or you can ditch that entirely. I use the 45 round mag on it because that's more than sufficient. I run the skeletal stock for the movement, and so this is where you have a little bit of a choice. So I mentioned the Spetsnaz grip earlier, which you can do if you want to manage the recoil a little bit more at range. Me personally, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to throw the Serpent ramp up there. Since it's close range, I don't need an optic on it. And so I will run with this loadout here as a secondary also. I mentioned the Val before. So typically what I'm running with this is a fully loaded option. It's built-in silence, so you don't have to worry about it. I'm running this mostly as an SMG, so I'm going to make it a hip-fire machine, make it quick. So you got the 5 milliwatt laser for hip fire and sprint fire. Mark 4 grip to help with the recoil and the hip fire also. 30 round mag, because that's the biggest it gets. Stiffy grip, so that we're getting the sprint to fire and ADS, and then fully loaded. So you can run that as well as a secondary. And the other one that's kind of fun to run around with too is the XM4. So with this one, I'm running the agency suppressor still. You got a couple options here. If you're going a little bit more at range, I would go reinforced heavy, so that way you're getting the bullet velocity bump and the increase in damage. You can bump up the bullet velocity a little bit with the Ranger barrel, but these two just kind of cancel each other out. Or not cancel each other out. They're basically on par with each other, with the exception of, like, I think it's only like a couple meters difference in damage, which who cares. Field agent grip. I run the 3x again, but if you want, you can do the SUSAT. And then I just run the 60 round mag on this standard. So at range, it's going to look like this, but then you also have the ability to run this as like an SMG. So what I do is I ditch the barrel, keep the 60 round mag on here. I'm going to throw the Raider stock on here to increase my movement speed. And you can either keep the field agent grip on here if you want to stabilize the recoil, or neutralize the recoil rather, or I'll throw on the Serpent Wrap to make it faster ADS. And this thing is actually a lot of fun to use close to mid-range. So, yeah, so I'll run that too. But yeah, that's everything that I'm running on my loadout, guys. So if you like what you saw, please, like I said, feel free to go ahead, like and subscribe for more content. And also be sure to follow me on twitch.tv/KMacGaming092 for all the latest. But thanks very much for watching. Y'all take care.